Welcome back to another episode of Projecting Grandeur. I'm your host, Ron Dichter. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all of you that have liked, commented, and shared. It's much appreciated. Today I want to talk about the concept of taking a break. And if you're watching this, you're probably either already in the world of business, you're an entrepreneur, or you're looking to get started. In any case, if you are either already doing or about to get going, that means you're highly motivated. And being highly motivated means that you're also probably running very hot. And what I mean by that is typically when you're starting a business, you are a one person shop. Sometimes you have a few people, but you're doing a lot of jobs. Like there's no specialists in the world of entrepreneurship. Everyone is a generalist in all of what you do. And sometimes what I have found in my businesses is that you can get fairly overwhelmed with all the things that land on your lap, all the responsibilities that you have, all the things that you have to be thinking about, from product to delivery to sales to marketing to operations to HR. Like you have a lot of different things on your plate. And sometimes the hard decision is knowing when to just hit pause on some things, take a moment to get out of the business so that you can think about the business. And this is a really hard thing for startups and entrepreneurs to do because obviously you're dealing with a business that likely loses money or doesn't make any money. And the last thing that you can afford to do is to take a break and take your foot off the gas. But I have found that many times when I'm so deep in the business and I'm just looking at things from street level and all the problems that are coming my way, is I have a really hard time to focus on what the growth model could look like, what the path, to get out of this would be. And sometimes I just have to be willing to say, you know what, I need to hit pause. And I need to either freeze some efforts that I'm doing, I need to pause some initiatives that I've put in place, and I need to focus on, really taking a step back, elevating myself up to at least a 5,000 or 10,000 foot view to get a vantage point of like, what am I doing? Because what I have found, again, in my experience, is that sometimes I get so deep in the fight that I forget what I'm fighting for. And I don't know what I'm trying to, claim victory on. And by the time I get to the end of it, I realize I just spent a whole lot of calories doing something that didn't yield me a whole lot of results. And it's highly frustrating. It's also not the best use of your time, but the worst part is it can lead to burnout. And when you're starting a new business, burnout is a real thing. And so you have to be really aware of the fight that you're fighting and making sure that you know what you're fighting for. And so what I like to do when I get in these situations is I give myself a period of time, especially if I'm a one-person shop and I'm just trying to figure it out, or even if I have just a couple of team members. What I have done in the past is I will just assign like a specific thing for a week and say, here's what I want you to accomplish in this week. And then I will literally remove myself from the business. I will write down, what it is that I started this business for, what my, mission statement may. I don't have a mission statement, but what I was hoping to accomplish with this business. And then I will take that away and I will look objectively at everything that I have going on and ask myself, the honest question of, is what I'm doing helping to further that cause, that mission, that goal? And if the answer is no, or not definitively yes, then I start to ask myself, why am I spending my time doing that? And let me give you a real life example. So in my current software business, Sixpack, I've got, these new features that I've been working on. And they're features that, me and my team had, sat in a room and said, wow, this would be a really cool feature. But we didn't actually have a client or customer that wanted this feature. We had just decided that this feature is a good use of, where people could go with the platform. And, for some reason it just wasn't sitting well with me. And I felt like, we were spending a lot of time, fixating on this thing that we don't even know if it's going to be able to be sold in the market. And so I said to my team, I said, listen, let's put this on the shelf. Let's not think about this right now, and let's focus on other initiatives that we have, either with bug fixes or with enhancements to existing features that we're being asked for, and let me just think on this and get back to you. And what I ended up doing is I took that that new feature that we were looking to build, and I just kind of wrote it on my whiteboard at my office, and I just said, okay, like, what does this feature have to do with the overall mission of why I started Six Pack? And as I started to unpack the features, it all of a sudden became this nice to have thing that feels is very dangerous to have feels like it could be incredibly value additive, to our product. So I said, I don't know, like something's just not right. So I had emailed 3 of our larger customers who had been with us for a while, and I asked them if I could have 15 minutes of their time to talk about a new feature I wanted to get their input on. And they all were very willing to give me feedback. And I kind of walked each one of them through it individually and said, here's what I'm hoping to accomplish with this, here's what I think it can bring. And all 3 of them said the same thing. Sounds really cool. I'm sure it would be awesome. I just don't have time in my business to focus on that part, and it's not really going to be something I have time to deal with. And it had that moment where it's like, okay, we were right on. Like, this was a good feature, but it's a nice to have, not a must have. Whereas the other stuff we were working on was must haves. And so I went back to my team and I said, guys, we're going to kill this, or at least we're going to shelve this for right now. I know we've spent a ton of time on it, but we're going to put it on a shelf and we're going to focus on the core product and not focus on these nice to haves, because right now we need to focus on our must haves that our current clients are using and make it better, as opposed to trying to give them something that they don't even know they want, because we have to go educate them on what it is. And so as you think about your core business, like, that's just my specific example, but if you think about your business, like, what is it that you're spending your time on? And really look at the amount of hours and dollars that you're dedicating to these things, and ask yourself, is this why I started the business? Is this helping to further that mission? And am I going to have a clear path, with my existing or potential new customers, that this is going to resonate with them? And if the answer to any of these things is somewhat wishy-washy, like, I just would urge you to maybe put a pin in it, save it for another day, and focus on the core business. Because in a small business or a startup business, resources are finite. You don't have infinite time on your hands, because you will run out of money, and everything that you do costs money, from people to product to service to delivery. It all costs money. So you have to be judicious in how you spend and allocate those dollars. So again, remember why you started the business. Remember to ask yourself objectively, is this thing helping me? And if you're uncertain, carve out a time, take a break, even if it's a weekend. Take time to specifically look at and dedicate to thinking about that thing, so you can make an objective, not subjective, not how you feel, an objective decision on, does this make sense for my business? So I hope you find this helpful. Please remember to share this with people who you think would benefit. We can't grow the word without you sharing it out there. So thanks again for tuning in. I'm Ron Dichter. Have a great day.